Alright, so here we are in our first game. When you start, it just kind of puts you in a random spot on the local area that you've embarked in, but you can kind of see just some of the elements on the screen. So this obviously is, the main screen. This over here is your menu, and here's kind of like a mini map. The mini map's not terribly useful, so what I usually do first thing is hit tab, and that expands this. You can hit tab again to collapse the menu, tab again to make it go away completely. But I like having the extra menu space because there's some stuff you have to read and that shows up in the menu tab that kind of gets cut off if you don't have the full-size menu. So after that, what you want to do, if you'll notice here, whenever my mouse gets near the edge of the screen, it scrolls. It's kind of janky. It's a plugin provided by Dwarf, and I like mouse controls, but I don't like how it scrolls. So the first thing we're going to do is Alt-Tab over to Dwarf right here. Oops. There we go. And we are going to type in mouse query, one word. That's the name of the plugin that allows mouse controls. Edge, this is the edge scrolling, and then disable. And hit enter. You won't see like a success message or anything, but when we go back, now you'll see that it doesn't scroll. So normally you scroll just by using the arrow keys. So basic controls, start off with that. You can look at stuff with the K key. So this is a this is a open space over here, so the mouse the cursor won't go over to that with the mouse, but you can see there's downward slope and what's an open space. So what's important to realize when it's kind of hard at first is the game's played from like a top-down perspective, right? So it looks like there's a bunch of tree stumps lying around, but really they're just trees, and this is the only like slice of it you can see. So if I zoom out, you'll see more of the tree, and you can kind of see the open space stuff gets darker and darker here to simulate the the distance. So we can look at a couple other things here. Here's a sapling, there's some grass, pebbles, a boulder, so on and so forth. So that's the K key. It allows you to look at anything. D for designations is how we do a lot of our ordering our dwarves to do work with tools. So you've got mining, channeling, stairs, chopping down trees, gathering plants for food, smoothing and engraving stones, carving fortifications, all sorts of different stuff that we'll talk about later. But that's all done through the D key. B is for building. It's pretty self-explanatory. The only important things to note here are that some of these use capital keys, right? So where's D for door, right? So I hit D. I don't have a door, so I can't place one, but that's how I build a door. But capital D is the trade depot, and I don't have anything to build the trade depot with, so I can't do that either. Q we won't need just yet, but Q is query, and it's useful for interfacing with buildings and stockpiles and things like that. So it's somewhat similar to look, but more for actually giving commands to buildings and stuff. So the first thing we can go ahead and do here is hit F1, and that is part of the hotkeys menu. So if we hit Shift H here, you can see these hotkeys. You can change these in key bindings, but basically these allow you to do different things, like zoom to areas is what I use them for mostly. So if I, for instance, wanted to zoom to the stream, I would open up the hotkey menu. I would hit F2 to select that hotkey, and then I would hit Z. And then we can close it, and we go back to our little wagon with our dwarves. And now if I want to go to the river, I just hit F2, bam, F1, back to the wagon. So this is the wagon and the supplies and the dwarves that we brought. The first thing you want to do is disassemble the wagon because it's totally worthless, but it does contain some wood for us to get started. So we just hit the Q key, and that opens up the query menu, and when we mouse over the wagon, we hit X to remove the building. And now you can see it says slated for removal up there. Oops. Excuse me. All right, after that, we want to start digging our fortress. So let's look around here for a good spot. Kind of don't want to do it in here just because it's in this depression. So if we look up, right, it's like in this little, it's like a dried out lake or something. Don't really want to start there just for aesthetic reasons. There's no really important reason for it. What we do want is a decent area. So all this, the black is, dirt and stuff that's we can't see because it's not uncovered. But we want a decent little area to kind of put like a staircase and stuff in. So that's correct. We'll start right over here. So I'll hit D to open up designations, and you'll see it started on, or defaulted to chop down trees. So we'll hit D again for mine, and we'll go down here. We'll click there, and I usually like to make a lot of my like hallways 3 wide. So we'll make it like, oops. Oh, so down here you'll see box select. We want to turn that on for using mouse controls. So we hit Alt M. There we go. All right. So click there, and I'll click there, and now I've designated kind of this 3 by, what is this, 7 area to be dug out and so that we can start building stuff. So right now the game's paused. If I hit spacebar, it unpauses it. You'll see these guys come over and they start digging through, and we are all done there. So the next thing you want to do is build an up-down staircase. So I'll hit D again. I hit I for up-down stair, and I'll just designate a 3 by 3 area stairs. So what this is going to do is build staircases both up and down that allow our dwarves to go in both directions. Right now we won't use the up portion of it so much because there's just more dirt above it, but we will use the down portion. So go ahead and unpause. Now I'll come right back, and I'll start digging it, and you can see the little upstairs and the downstairs. So now, if we hit the right, what is this? It's the period key. You'll see we've kind of explored a little bit to down to the second level. So if I hit D and I again, and designate another 3 by 3 up-down staircase on this level, they'll come and they'll chop down on it from above, and now you'll see this. So what you could do now is start designating some areas for farming and stuff, but we don't want to do that just yet because trees are really important, and when you chop down trees after a few years they regrow, but they will not regrow on land that has been dug out underneath of it, right? So if I dig out this area right here and chop down this tree, no trees will grow in the area that has been dug out underneath. So just hit F1, go back down to here. Let's dig down one more level. Set up our up-down staircases, get them to mine it out. All right, pause again. So now we're sufficiently below the level of the surface that we can mine stuff out without worrying about messing up our tree growth later on. So first thing we want to do is get a farm and a pasture. So I'll dig a little 3 by 3 hallway out like so, and then I'll designate essentially an open doorway area. We won't actually put doors there, and then a little box like so about, and that'll be our pasture. And actually we'll put the farm there, and this will be our pasture. So I unpause again. Here come the doors, and you'll notice all the brown. So this is dirt, right? Soil. So they dig through it really easily. This right here is rock, and you can see it takes them a lot longer to dig through it. As they get experience in mining, they can dig through stuff faster and faster and faster. But for now, they're going to go relatively slow through the rock. So we'll just wait for them. So important thing to note here, you'll see there's now a chunk of dolomite. That's the stone we've been digging out on the ground. So every time you break a rock block while digging, it has a chance to drop the stone that's contained within it. For stuff like this, it's mostly nuisance stone, so it's not really a big deal. But for stuff like ore and whatnot, that'll be really important. All right, so they're done. So obviously we can't grow crops on these stone areas, but we can still grow crops here. So we'll hit B for building, and then we're going to hit P for farm plot. And now you'll just see like this 1x1 cursor, and up here you can see it says U and M to change the height and K and H to change the width. So what we'll do is we'll hit U twice and K twice, and now we got a little 3x3 plot, and we'll just nestle it in the corner right here. So that designates it for construction, and now we need a farmer dwarf to come build it. So if we unpause the game, the guy with the farming labor shows up, and he starts basically digging out the farm plot, and you can see it kind of grow there. All right, so now it's done, and if we hit the Q key for query, and we go back to the farm plot, we now have this menu up on the, up in the upper right hand part of our screen. It basically is telling us or how we select what we want to plant there. So if you hit down on the bottom right and left, you can see there's a bunch of different options. If we hit Shift Z, that's a way to just turn off any growing for all seasons. A, B, C, and D change what season the farm plot's designated for growth. So like right now, it's the first month, so I think we're still in spring. Yep. And those are the 4 crops we can grow underground on this farm plot. And then so this is for summer, fall or autumn, and then D for winter. So you can see though that plump helmets can always be grown. So for our first plot, we're just going to hit the what is going on here? No, there we go. So we're going to hit the minus key and get to plump helmet, and then we're going to hold shift and hit enter. And what that should do is now you'll see plump helmets is lit up in all the different seasons. So every season they're going to farm plump helmets in that spot. So if we unpause it, our guy's going to go grab some seeds from up here, and then he's going to head down to this farm plot and start planting. All right, so we got that done. For the pasture, let's go ahead and pause it in here. We're going to need to use the I key, which defines zones. So zones are pretty useful in some aspects and not super useful in others, but obviously pasture is one of the more important ones. So we press the I key and we get this designation prompt again. So we'll just click there and there inside this room, and now we got this activity zone. So you can see it's got a blank name and it's got nothing enabled, so we can tell, hey, this is where you should go for water, this is where you should go for fishing, so on and so forth. Hospital down near the bottom is pretty important, as is meeting area right above it. But for right now, for this one, we're just going to enable this as a pen and a pasture. So now this activity zone 1, is a pasture. So we'll hit Control N, just rename it to something like pasture number 1. And then we're going to hit Shift N to bring up the pasture information screen. So this is a list of all of our animals that we have. So you'll see the 3 female dogs, the male dog, the 3 female pigs, and the male pig that we brought. And then you also see this horse and the 2 humped camel. So you get 2 draft animals when you embark. They're random. We're going to butcher them fairly soon because these 2 animals cannot live underground on this dirt patch. They need grass, but the other ones don't. But we don't care about that for now, so we will just go ahead and hit enter for all these animals, and you'll see the little brackets with the green show up. That means that animal is assigned to this pasture. So now all the animals will wander / be carried down by the dwarves into this pasture area. And the last couple things we want to do for this video, so we'll hit escape, back out to the main interface. We'll hit F1 to go back to kind of our top level here. We want to dig again. What we want to do is put a 3x3 entranceway and then a 5x5 area for our trade depot. So if you see down near the bottom right, it says selection 5x5x1. So let's hit unpause that. Our mining dwarves. Looks like they're going to carry some animals down first. So what we're doing here is we're digging out an area for the trade depot. So the trade depot is really important because that's how we trade with all the other civilizations nearby, and that's how we can get access to a lot of stuff that we may not have access to in our area of the world. So looks like they are done doing that. So next thing we'll do is hit B for buildings, Shift D for trade depot, and we'll sit it right in this 5x5 area. So now you'll see the interface come up for what do we want to build it out of. Logs are kind of precious for us just right now, so let's build it all out of that stone, the dolomite that we mined out earlier. And you can hit enter 3 times or just hit shift enter and it'll designate dolomite for all of it. The difference is if I hit enter for dolomite once, I could then like go up to plum wood logs and hit, build it out of different materials, but we'll just build it out of all dolomite. So eventually our mason will come by with the architecture skill and build that. And the last thing we want to do before we unpause here is we want a little bit more logs to go around. So we'll hit D again. This time we'll go to T for chop down trees. Oops. And we'll designate this tree in the middle of our little dried out lake to be chopped. So you can see, just click and click, and now it's kind of blacked out to mark that it's designated for chopping. So pretty soon, yep, here comes our woodcutter guy. He's hitting the tree with the axe, and boom, he chopped it down, and there's some extra logs. And pause it again, and that's it for this video.